Hi everyone, my name is Steve Bures and I'm CEO of Reshift Media. We're here today to talk about how franchise brands can win in the age of AI-based search. Just before we get into the details, in case you don't know who we are, we're a digital marketing organization that specializes in franchise companies. We do SEO, paid search, social media, we build websites, and everything in between. In fact, we've been named the world's best franchise marketing firm 3 years in a row by Global Franchise Awards. We've been ranked as a top franchise supplier by Entrepreneur Magazine the last 3 years, and we've been named the Marketing Disruptor of the Year by the International Business Awards the last 2 years. Now, working with franchise organizations, we believe strongly that franchise companies are actually very well positioned to win at search. I want to talk about some of these strengths that we want to leverage. The first thing that every franchise organization has is a built-in footprint, whether that's actual bricks and mortar or whether it's territories. Either way, franchise systems naturally operate across dozens or hundreds or even thousands of local markets, allowing you to index for thousands of local specific search and AI queries simultaneously. What that means is that you have a high volume of authentic local signals, things like reviews, photos, posts, check-ins, and Q&As that are generated by real customers and real local franchise owners who can create the exact type of trust and relevance that search engines and AI models are looking for. There's also a combination of brand trust and local relevance that franchise organizations have, because franchises balance that strong national brand authority with locally relevant content, which gives you a huge advantage over any independents and even over any national brands that lack a true local presence. One of the huge things we see is that franchise organizations can have faster execution through local ownership. Franchisees can respond quickly with the local updates, local offers, events, community engagement, feeding search and AI-based systems fresh, real-world data very quickly. And what we find is that this is a compounding advantage over time. The more your franchise system grows, the more data you create, the more local content you create, the stronger your overall opportunity to rank in both traditional search, if I can call it that, and AI-based search. So it's no understatement to say that generative AI is absolutely reshaping everything about the internet. ChatGPT, Claude, AI overviews from Google, Gemini, Perplexity, all of these AI-based search engines are changing how the internet functions. And not just for search, but also in terms of digital marketing. Facebook, TikTok, Instagram are all integrating AI-based technologies for ad serving, etc. Today we're going to talk mainly about search though. So let's talk about how search has worked historically. Historically, someone puts in a search query and they get a list of blue links, right? This is before AI search. So we have that nice list of blue links, and our job as marketers was to try and rank our blue links higher than the other guy's blue links. We spent 2 decades fighting about whose blue links were higher than the others. And if you think about it, this was actually kind of a weird use case for consumers, right? Because what would happen is you as a consumer, you would type in your search query, you'd see the list of blue links, maybe you click the top one, you look at what web page you end up on, does it answer my question, yes or no? If it is, great. If no, go back to Google, click the second link, does that answer my question, yes or no? And you kind of bounce back and forth. Well, with AI overviews, what they're doing now is they actually aggregate data from across the internet to give you one specific answer that is based on information from dozens, hundreds, thousands of websites. So this is an example of Perplexity. This is the same thing as ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude. Thought I would just give you a different interface for a change. You've probably been seeing too much ChatGPT. So as an example of an AI search, I go here to Perplexity, I type in my search, in this case, who's the world's best franchise marketing company, and I get one answer. So it doesn't come back with that list of blue links. It comes back with one comprehensive answer. It does give me its sources, but for me as a user, I just get the answer to my question and I can move on with life. I don't have to click, I don't have to go through, I don't have to be looking at all this. The most common version of AI search that most people are seeing these days is Google's AI overviews. So I've done the same search here. Who's the world's best franchise marketing company? And you get this AI overview, which is above the search results. And on mobile, this is really quite prevalent, right? It's literally the first thing you see if there's no ads. So Google now is presenting an amalgamated answer to your query before I even get to those blue links. You can see on the screen grab, and this is a real screen grab, by the way, we didn't create this. You can see that the blue links that we typically are trying to index for are below the AI overview. Well, this has a huge ramification because now, if we think about how often people would click these blue links previously, they're clicking them less because the AI overview now is answering their question. In fact, Pew Research Center did a study about this to see just how frequently people were or were not clicking these blue links in the new AI type of experience. So in the case where someone does a search and only the list of blue links come back, meaning there's no AI overview, they're on Google, and it's just kind of the traditional search you would have seen before, Pew found that people would click one of the blue links about 15% of the time. I know that sounds really low, but remember, they click it and then they go back, or they find that the query didn't give their answer, or they just bounce off, or something like that. But take the data at face value. 15% of the time, people would click a blue link. As soon as there's an AI overview, essentially what you see on your screen here, that percentage, that likelihood of someone to click a blue link goes down to 8%. So roughly half. Think about that for a second. That's half as many clicks on billions and billions of search queries. So not surprisingly, that's having a material impact on the traffic that websites are getting. Now, our friends at Google would say, don't worry, we're giving you the sources here. If you look at that box that I just made red, we're giving sources. Someone can click through that. Well, a couple of things on that. First of all, it's not a very obvious box, particularly on mobile. If I'm doing a search on my phone, this is actually below the AI overview. And, it's kind of hidden on the right there, right? I'm not really looking at that. I'm looking at the main search. And Pew actually measured how often people were clicking that. And it's only 1% of the time, which is effectively zero. So the short version of a long story is AI overviews are leading people to click less frequently. Now, the question now is, how often do AI overviews show up? So again, Pew studied exactly this behavior. This is about a year old. It's from March of 2025. So we all know that AI overviews have gone up since, but this is a really good study, so I wanted to use it as an indicator of the direction. So what they found was that AI-based searches showed up 18% of the time overall. But that's not the whole story. What they found is that if the search started with a question word, how, what, who, where, why, that percentage shot up to 60%, meaning that 60% of the time, that search would return an AI overview. If you had a noun and a verb, so essentially you're creating a whole sentence, that was 36%. And the longer your query, the more likely it was that you would get an AI overview. 10 plus words is 53%. Meanwhile, 1 to 2 words is only 8%. So what this means is there's a disproportionate impact on those long tail, those really detailed searches. And what that also means is if you're a company who indexed really well for the who, what, why type of searches, or the really long tail searches because you're in a niche industry, you're being disproportionately impacted. In fact, a lot of the companies who had great SEO previously are seeing a larger decrease in traffic to their website because they were indexing so well for some of these terms, which are now being answered by an AI overview, and a person simply doesn't need to click. So to put those pieces together here, what we're saying is for a question-based query, you're going to see an AI overview 60% of the time. And when you see an AI overview, you will get roughly 50% fewer click-throughs to your website. So the long and the short of it is most websites are seeing a decline between 30 and 60% on their traffic. The funny thing is, if you had great SEO before, you're actually seeing a larger impact. So you're more closer to that 60%. If your SEO wasn't great, you might not be seeing much of an impact at all. And you might think this is no big deal. But the red flag for you is you probably weren't indexing very well to start with. So this, as an organization, as a company who's using search to get people to find you, to buy your services, buy your products, this is obviously a massive problem. But the genie's out of the bottle. We aren't going back. We can't go back to the way we were. Google's definitely not going back to just having the blue links. If anything, this trend is accelerating. So we as marketers need to get our head around that. And as a franchise organization, you need to realize this is the way things are going, and you need to get out ahead of this. So I like using real examples. So this is a real search I did. I went and I searched which companies provide a business mailbox with 24-hour access. Very detailed, question-based. So not surprisingly, I got an AI overview. And as you can see on mobile, the AI overview takes up the whole screen. This is a real screenshot from my personal phone. And what you can see here is they actually cited the UPS store as a source. Now, full disclosure, this is one of our clients. We've obviously been doing a lot of work with them. But what we're seeing here is I'm probably not going to click. I've asked a question, I get my answer. It says, oh, places that fulfill my need are the UPS store. So I'm probably just going to go. Maybe I'll call them, but it's certainly not going to be a click through to their website from here necessarily. So what this means is our expectation of search needs to change. So it's not necessarily measuring it based on impressions and clicks and click-through rates and cost per click if you're doing paid search advertising. You're actually measuring visibility and being part of the answer, particularly with your name mentioned like this. It's actually a real benefit because think of how that consumer feels about that answer. If Google is vouching for you as a business, saying that you do this, they feel pretty confident you must do a good job and that you're good at this service or product or whatever it is they're looking for. So if anything, it's a very good result. The problem is the measurement and your expectations as a brand need to change. Now, we're going to talk more about some of these things in just a minute, but to give you a sense of how AI comes up with its answers, it pulls information from all around the web. It absolutely does use your company website. That's not as big a deal as it once was under more of a traditional search, I would call it, but absolutely is still your number one opportunity to control how AI is understanding your business and how you can index for AI-based searches. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Your Google business profile is a huge opportunity. We got a little bit we're going to talk about in just a minute. Social mentions and user-generated content is good. AI isn't necessarily crawling Facebook or LinkedIn as an example, but it will ingest things like X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, or if customers are blogging about you, that's very good. So if people are talking about you online, that is a good thing, and the AI will pick that up. Company reviews are fantastic. Google reviews in particular are fantastic for AI-based search. You really want people giving detailed reviews, talking about your products and services, talking about your staff, talking about the experience they had, talking about your facility and your environment. Really, really good information. And AI loves third-party validation, meaning customer reviews in particular. Things like top 10 lists and other third-party articles, very good. Really, again, that third-party validation of your product, your service, your brand is a great thing for AI. And something that has been talked about a lot, but seems to have sort of simmered a little, is forums like Reddit and Quora. So early days of AI-based search, all of the AIs were really relying heavily on Reddit, particularly Google. Google actually had a relationship with Reddit. They were paying them for access to their content, and they were using Reddit to basically train their large language models. So they were training their AI based on Reddit-based information. And the reason they were doing that is Reddit has ready-made content for AI. It's question and answer, and it's all community-based. So if you haven't been on Reddit, the basic idea is someone asks a question to the community and people answer it. So where can I get the best, Boston cream donut? And people answer, oh, I think it's here, I think it's here, I think it's here. Or how do I, fix my 1982 Honda Civic? Same thing. So people are answering questions. So it's natural language, it's real people, so it's perfect for AI. The downside, obviously, is people say lots of crazy stuff on Reddit. So it did become a bit of a problem where some of the answers that the AI was providing were a little out there. So all of the AI companies, ChatGPT and Google and everybody else, has pulled back a little bit from that and are being more cautious with using that sort of content. But absolutely, those community forums are still a huge place for community-generated content that the AIs are using, so you can't ignore them. Now, again, I like examples, so I want to show you another example here. I'm going to change that search I did just a minute ago. Instead of saying what sort of companies provide this, I'm going to change that to where. Where can I rent a business mailbox with 24-hour access near me? And again, this is the real result. Very different result. I did not get the AI overview. Instead, I got a local result return. This is Google's local search, or you might know it as just places. And lo and behold, there's the UPS store again, but we have rankings based on proximity. And this is called a local search. And an interesting thing about local search is it drives more direct activity. So whereas an AI-based result is a little softer, right? It's more just talking and giving you an answer. When you're conducting a local search like this, where can I get a service or where can I get a product? You're getting this great local search, which is much more direct and still drives web traffic or calls or directions. So much more purchase-oriented behaviors than you would get with an AI overview. And we think local search is a huge place where franchise organizations can win. And the number one reason is AI overviews tend to show up less frequently. I'm not saying they don't show up. In fact, they are showing up more and more for local type searches, but they show up less frequently, meaning that you're not getting that sort of soft answer. You're getting more of the local search results, so people come directly to your business. And local searches have massive volume. 32% of customers search online for local businesses multiple times per week. And near me searches are one of the only category of searches that continues to increase by more than 100% every single year. So massive volume. What I really like about local searches is you are by default only competing with other businesses in your area. So you have a real chance to rank because it's only businesses that provide similar products and services right in your geography that you're competing with. And they have massive purchase intent. So when someone says, where can I get this? They're already decided that they need it. Now they're just trying to figure out where they're going to get it. So what we see as a winning formula for franchise organizations is you want to index for both AI results and local results. You can't ignore either one. You certainly can't ignore AI. It is the future. Voice search is absolutely on fire, which is all AI-based. Image-based search is on fire, which again is AI-based. But those local results are still that direct path to clicks and activity. So what you want to be doing is creating the opportunity to rank for informational queries, question-based searches, problem-solving searches, long-tail keywords, basically anything with a question. What is, how does it work, how to, where are, those types of searches are absolutely a huge opportunity for you. Think about the content you can create, and I'll give you a few tips in just a minute, and how you can present that content in order to show up in these results. Local results is when someone has an explicit local search. So things like where can I get this in Riverdale, if I live in Riverdale. Even implicit ones like where can I get this near me. If they're looking for a brand, great. I'm looking for how can I get, where's the nearest reshift media outlet as an example. Some combination of service and location. Basically anything where you're combining geography with something you need or a brand you're looking for. And again, you want to build content and you want to build structure that helps you rank for these. And we'll talk about that in just a second. So in terms of what you do, your number one thing you control is your website. Your website is absolutely your hero. It's not the only factor, but it is the factor that is in the most control that you have. Number one, your website has to be mobile first. And when I say mobile first, I don't just mean that looks okay on mobile. It has to really work well on mobile. It has to be fast. It has to make sure that your images are the right size so you're not waiting for it. When your website is slow or not formatted correctly, the search engine is absolutely taking that into account. So you need your website to be fantastic on mobile and lightning fast. One thing a lot of franchise organizations get wrong is their website structure. You really want a unified domain structure. So you want your website to be set up something like this, where you got yourwebsite.com, whatever your URL is. And when you put your local locations in there, it should be yourwebsite.com/location name, in this case, Springfield or /Riverdale. That tells the search engine that those locations are part of your overall brand, part of your overall website. A lot of franchise organizations will create subdomains, it's called, where instead of it's yourwebsite.com/Springfield, you reverse that where it's springfield.yourwebsite.com. That's called a subdomain. The search engine sees that as a completely different website. And what's happening then is you're not getting all that great synergy between your local locations and your main website. So this is absolutely the right way to set your website up. The other thing you really want to look at is making sure you have local information on every website. You can't be shown for local searches if you don't have local information. So the bare bones stuff is things like your address, your phone number, your hours of operation, the name of your location. That's the bare bones. You really want to have more than that, which we'll talk a little bit about in a second. But as a bare minimum, you got to have that location-specific information. Now, this is an example of a website we built for one of our clients. Obviously, we structure it in a way to make it easy for search. Most search engines are going to show up to the site and pretty easily figure out that that's the address, that's the phone number, that's the hours. But just to make sure, you want to actually give the search engine specific directions, which you can do through something called structured data or schema markup, effectively the same thing. And what that looks like is you actually add additional information to the code of your website. So this is an example for this particular location you see here. So what we've said is, okay, this is schema.org. So we've actually told the search engine, hey, here's where the structured data is. We've told it that it's a local business, so it knows right away this is something I should be indexing in my local search algorithm. Here's the name of the location, here's the address, and we've been very specific. This is the street address, this is the city, this is the region, this is the postal or zip code, this is the country. And we've even gone to the next level where we've even given a specific lat and long. So just in case, like maybe there's a Scarborough in Texas, right? We don't want the search engine to have any misunderstanding. Anytime a search engine feels like it's a little ambiguous, it doesn't know exactly, it absolutely will lower the opportunity for you to rank because it wants to be sure it's giving a good answer. By passing in the exact latitude and longitude, we are telling the search engine, this is exactly where that location is. We've then said, here's the telephone and here's the opening hours. So there's no way the search engine does not understand. And the more certainty it has, the more opportunity you have to rank for those great local searches. And even when someone does an AI-based search that has a local aspect to it, this still works for that. You want to make sure that you localize your content for each location. So beyond just the address, phone number, stuff like that, you actually want to add information on those local sites. Things like any local promotions you have, any local service area details, any community involvement. Are you involved with the Better Business Bureau? Do you sponsor a Little League team? Do you sit on city council? Local customer stories are fantastic, right? It's a little different than just reviews. If you have full-on stories, great. If not, publish customer reviews, that's great too. Location-specific FAQs. Do you have parking? Are you open late? Do you deliver? Things like that. Really good data to add. And if you can create local blog posts, that's great. I know that's really hard for a lot of franchise organizations. If your franchisees are able to blog or if your franchise network is able to create local blogs, then great. The trick here, though, is they have to be unique. Don't just copy and paste information across locations. The search engine will figure that out, and it will basically say, this is the same thing I've seen before. I don't care. So the only way this works is if all this information is specific to each location. The last thing I'll talk about here for your website is to publish AI-friendly content. So AI likes content to be structured in a very specific way. It wants to make sure that your content has headings, subheadings, bullets, and short paragraphs. So it kind of likes content in little snippets, not huge essays. Using consistent terminology is important. So if you have a particular product or service, don't call it 4 different things across your website. Use the same term over and over. So as an example, instead of saying search engine optimization, I say search optimization or search marketing, and I kind of mean the same thing. Standardize that language so that way the search engine always knows what it is that you're talking about. Plain conversational language is critical. What you should be doing is aiming to write at about the 9th grade level. What that means is take out all those big words. Don't try and over-marketing your copy. Answer questions and provide information in very, very plain language. That's how people search. That's how people want the information back. And think about question-based content. FAQs are great, where you literally put the question and then put the answer. Put the question, put the answer. Give it a nice list, maybe make it an accordion, maybe make it click through to subpages for more information. But when you give the search engine, particularly the AI-based search engine, a quick, here's the answer to that question someone's asking, AI search absolutely loves that. If your website's your hero, then your Google business profile is your trusty sidekick. I can't emphasize enough how important your Google business profile is, not just for Google search indexing, but all AI search. So ChatGPT uses it, Perplexity uses it. All of those AI-based search engines are absolutely crawling your Google business profile to get key information about your company. So you need to make sure that your core information matches your website exactly. So the name of the location, the address, the phone number, the hours, be really clear. So as an example, on your Google My Business profile, if you have the city name, but then you put like the neighborhood name on your website, those don't match. Search engine says, I don't get it. I'm not confident in this, and therefore it ranks you less frequently. Make sure it matches. If you're going to use the city on your Google business profile, use city on your website or vice versa. Most companies don't add enough information on a Google business profile. They do the basics. They do, here's the name of my location, address, phone number, whatever, I'm done. You really want to make full use of that. This is your opportunity to publish specific information about your business, not just to Google, but to basically all search engines. So you can add stuff about your location amenities. Do you have a wheelchair ramp? Do you have ample parking? Talk about your services. What are your services and how are they different than your competitors? Google actually allows you to do posts on your Google business profile. You're not going to get a lot of user engagement, I'll tell you that right now. So if you're going to measure those based on how many people click it and whatnot, you will be disappointed. But it's an opportunity to publish information, again, directly to the search engine. You can create Google posts on events you've got upcoming, offers that you have running, and you're putting that right into the search engine. So that's the win. Not necessarily people seeing it and clicking it. It's being able to publish directly to that search engine. You absolutely want as many customer reviews as you can get. And again, as I said before, the more elaborate they can be, where people describe your service or your team or their experience, the better. Because that provides great search intel or keywords, if you want to call it that, back into the search engine to be able to index when people are asking questions about products or services near them. And it's really important you respond to reviews quickly. The search engines actually look to see how long it takes you to respond, and the longer it takes, they actually use that as a ranking signal in terms of how engaged your business is. So if someone asks a question or makes a comment and it sits there for weeks, the search engine says, well, this business isn't very engaged, and will actually hold that against you in terms of ranking. So in summary, we really believe that franchise companies are really well positioned to win at AI search if you take the right steps. But it's so important you do something now. The industry is moving very quickly. Consumers are adopting AI-based search very rapidly, and this is the tip of the iceberg. Voice search is taking off. AI-based visual search is taking off. So now is the time to take action. Your franchise network is really your secret weapon. As I talked about at the top, we have a physical footprint, you have franchisees, you have brand equity. These are the things you can leverage into your website, into your Google business profile to be able to create an advantage. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Happy to talk with anyone anytime. There are my contacts right there. I'm also going to put a link down in the description so you can download this presentation if you're so inclined. And I'll even put one in there for our 2026 Digital Trends Report, which has information on AI-based search, but a whole bunch of other stuff, including influencer marketing and digital advertising. Thanks again, and have a great day.